What's up, everybody? Welcome to Live Fridays with the Traveling Tennis Coach. My name is Chris Clark, former college tennis player, tennis pro, and good old-fashioned tennis enthusiast. I couldn't be more excited to welcome in our guest today on what I'm calling Coach's Corner. As a player, she played for Georgia Tech. She won a national championship at Georgia Tech as well. She was an MVP on the national championship team. She also won the Arthur Ashe Sportsmanship Award, which is very cool. As a coach, she is the head coach of, or was the head coach of Oregon for 4 years, and now she is the head coach of Notre Dame's women's tennis team. But more importantly, she is just an all-around great person, great profile. So looking forward to her sharing her perspective today. Give it a few minutes and she will come in. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below and we will get started shortly. Give it 1 second. She should be in any minute. Coach, how are you?
Oh, good, Chris. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
So are you in South Bend or are you somewhere else right now?
I am. Yes, no, I'm in South Bend and getting ready for our student athletes to return.
Okay, very cool. So again, thanks for jumping on, and wanted to let you know the reason I'm doing this. So it's kind of twofold for me. One, I love to connect and meet with and chat with pro players and coaches from all over the world, but also I like to humanize people as well. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks for jumping on, and excited to learn a little bit about you as well as, you know, some of your outlook as you look towards the season.
Sure. Great. No, really appreciate you having me. I've seen some of your other live videos, and
yeah,
great what you're doing, just the excitement around the sport. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I'm just gonna dive right in.
Great.
So you have an amazing tennis background and you had an amazing career, and I was just curious, like, walk me through how you got into tennis, why tennis, and how you ended up at Notre Dame.
Sure. Well, I was very fortunate. My parents at a young age started my brother and I into many sports, and we actually started tennis as a family. And so we were starting together and really having fun with it. And my brother and I took off and started traveling more with tournaments, started playing at local clubs. And with the USTA. And so I was fortunate to be surrounded by some wonderful coaches and just other players in the Midwest section in North Ohio. And so that went from junior tennis to obviously national events on the USTA circuit, and then to my opportunity to play at Georgia Tech.
Okay.
I was there for 4 years. Under Coach Brian Shelton, and had a phenomenal experience, just not only developing as a tennis player, but also as a person and of course academically. And so I was very fortunate to be surrounded by so many positive influences. So from my playing career, obviously there were a lot of successes there. I was fortunate to finish my senior year winning a team national championship, or any better. So being able to be in coaching since my experience in college tennis or playing as a student athlete has been such a blessing, because it's a way for me to give back and share my experiences and so give back to so many that have given to me. So I started my coaching career at NC State. I was there for 3 seasons. I then went back to Georgia Tech and was able to coach with Coach Brian Shelton for 2 years, and then was actually coaching with Rodney Harmon for 2 years.
Yeah.
So very, you can't get 2 better coaches than that. The coach that I worked for, State, Hans Olsen, was amazing. So I was very fortunate just in my coaching experiences and mentors that I had. And then my first opportunity at a head coaching job was at the University of Oregon, and wonderful experience there, being in the Pac-12, really working to build a program, and again, surrounded by so many wonderful people, and the experiences I had there, and just developing my coaching philosophy really set me up for a wonderful opportunity with Notre Dame. And so after 4 years at Oregon, I've now been at Notre Dame for 2, and just again, very, very fortunate, very blessed to be at Notre Dame, be back in the Midwest, and enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story, and a couple of things that really stood out to me. One, growing up playing in the Midwest, like the Midwest Close and all those fun tournaments.
Yes.
I'm originally from Michigan, so I spent a lot of time growing up and playing the Midwest Close and watching or having my parents drive me around playing tournaments and nationals at the zoo. So it was a really good experience. The other thing, I played college tennis for the University of Toledo, and one of my favorite memories I have in the summertime is working the Notre Dame tennis camps.
Nice.
This is probably 15 years ago. It starts to date myself, but it was a really good experience. But jumping back into when you were in college and going out as a national championship, like, what was that feeling like? I didn't win. My goal was always to win a conference championship, right? A little different level, but that was my goal. We wanted the ring, and although we never got it, that's what we wanted, right? So just to go out that way, like, what did it feel like? Do you still remember it to this day? That type of thing?
Yes, of course. I can remember it like it was yesterday. It's been an interesting time, obviously, right now in the pandemic, and during these last few months, I've had an opportunity to connect with old teammates and our coach on a Zoom call, and it was so fun to just relive that night and just those experiences we had for over those 4 years. That national championship didn't just happen on May 22nd back in 2007. That was many years, even before I got to Georgia Tech. Our coach and our coaches were building a foundation with hard work and discipline, and so we were fortunate. We had 8 student athletes. I had 8 teammates that were competitive, and we just got after it every single day, and we're very tough in tough situations. And so that evening, it was something that we all believed we could do, and we knew it could happen, and we fought every single point and didn't stop until we were holding the trophy there at the end. So it was a complete team effort. We actually lost the doubles points, which sometimes can be a tough start, tough beginning with momentum changes and swings, but we were able to get the momentum back our way, and it kind of went back and forth the whole match. And so it was a remarkable evening, and so many emotions, of course. But what I vividly remember is sharing that moment with my teammates and my coaches, and just celebrating all of the hard work that we had put in.
Yeah, and it's funny. Does it feel like it's been 13 years ago? Right? Isn't that?
It
you ever talk about it like it just happened like 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, it's 13 years ago.
It's been a while. It's been a while. We just had our 10-year reunion. 3 years ago. So it's amazing how much time has actually passed. But when we all get together or we're back having conversations, it feels like yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. The same for me and my teammates. Anytime we can get together, it could be Zoom. It's just always such a special feeling, and it brings back old memories. And then you realize how long ago that was, and you're like, wow, it really feels like yesterday. or I'll teach a lesson and I'll tell someone like, yeah, I used to do it like this in college only 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's always a good laugh. But one of the things I heard you say, and you mentioned COVID, so transitioning and talking a little bit about coaching. One, I know all sports kind of stopped abruptly, and now you're into the summer. And I'm just curious to know, how has not only COVID changed the way you look at coaching, but how has it made it either A, more challenging, but also B, how have you been able to innovate and be creative, with some of the things you look to do with communication, summer workouts, things like that?
Sure. Well, you hit it on the head right there. I mean, communication, I'd say, has been one of our biggest areas that we've been able to be creative with, and I think it's an area for our program that has really improved. Certainly, it was tough. We were in the middle of our season. We were actually down in North Carolina getting ready to play Duke,
Wow.
and obviously our season was canceled. So those 48 hours there was just so much information coming and figuring out logistics and getting everyone back safely. So once all of our young ladies were back home safely, then we were able to, as a coaching staff, get together on Zoom and really get a plan in place. And that plan and that preparation was something that has made us successful through the end of our academic semester, but also into this summer. So that was a big piece for us, transitioning to the virtual coaching and virtual learning, was having that plan, being prepared and delivering that to our players, and they've done a phenomenal job taking ownership, taking responsibility. It's a complete transformation from what we're used to, right? We go from face-to-face, that daily interaction, communication, to now it's all over a FaceTime or a Zoom call, texting. So it's made me get out of my comfort zone a little bit more, because I enjoy so much being face-to-face and having that intimate connection. And so we've been able to, as best as we can, to recreate that over Zoom or over a FaceTime. And our players have come up with some great ideas too that have been creative to keep us all motivated and working. We've done a virtual 5K as a team.
Very cool.
Currently, all of our players are working on their mile time and having that. They're challenging one another in workouts, and we're having some fun going through developmental plans and just having those conversations outside of tennis too. And I think that's been a big piece that's been special for me during this time, and I think for our whole coaching staff, where usually when you're in season, I can speak for myself, or sometimes I'm just a one-track mind, about the matches and how can we continue to get better. And I think this has given us all an opportunity to step back and reflect and see how we can develop other areas in our lives too. So it's been challenging. It's been transformational for us, but so many positives have come from it, and I'm so excited. I know our coaching staff is so excited, and our student athletes are very excited to get back, and they've been putting in a lot of work throughout this time, safely, of course, and responsibly. But it will be great for us all to be back together again.
Yeah, and a lot of good stuff there, and just around the creativity piece, but also along like taking a step back and really just giving yourself time to do things you probably haven't been able to do in a long time. And I just think about, you're probably out normally recruiting or doing different things like that throughout the summer, meeting with players or talking to people, but now everybody's quarantined, so you're probably doing a lot of Zoom calls like we all are.
Yes.
Although, I mean, Zoom has become the way of the world. So to me, it's very interesting what the summer, whatever lies ahead, but also what the fall does too. Because, I mean, I still think as I think about it, there's probably some level of uncertainty for the fall and still trying to figure that out. And just having a conversation randomly with my old college coach, he's trying to figure out, how do you get some of the international guys back? That's a real thing you have to figure out. So I just think it's one of those things you can only hope gets better, or that we become better by it. But ultimately, I hope we all, some way, shape, or form, grow closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're exactly right.
Yeah. And on that note, as you think of, or as I think of goal setting and things like that, I'm sure your goal setting mindset this year as a coach may be a little different. But before even asking you about goals, not to jump back to your national championship, but what pieces of that national championship do you take forward with you in your coaching style and how you run your program?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest areas, there's a couple, but the biggest areas are definitely the hard work,
Yeah.
the work ethic. There's no substitute for that. You have to work smart, of course. And being student athletes and being coaches, there's certainly more on our plate than just tennis.
Yeah.
Focused on their academics, they're focused on other passions that they have and interests that they have, which make them incredible human beings. And so working hard and making those consistent character driven decisions every day, doing the right thing day in and day out. And it doesn't mean we won't make mistakes or have failures. We certainly will, but we'll learn from those. So I think the consistency, the work ethic, that character first mentality is something that I have tried my best to bring into all areas of my coaching. And I was so fortunate again to have Coach Shelton and my different assistants that just cared about us as people, number one, and really instilled belief and confidence, really empowered us as we were going through our career and through our journey as a student athlete. And so my goal and my inspiration is to always bring those traits and those characteristics to our program. And our student athletes have really embraced me with open arms and embraced our whole entire coaching staff with open arms. And so it's been fun all getting better together and every day.
Yeah, no, and I think one thing that you said that I really live by is everything you said I live by, but the one thing I always live by as a player, as a coach, or just in my life is hard work. And I think my dad always taught me there's two types of people who work hard or don't work hard and they won't get there, and people who work hard and they might get there. And I want to there's no guarantees, right? Like everybody's working hard. We're all doing many of the same things, listening to the same videos or whatever it may be, but you want to put yourself in the best position to be successful as not only as a coach, but I'm sure you do the same for your student athletes as well. And they trust you just like you trust them to go out and work hard day in and day out. And I think there's something special about just being in the college atmosphere and being able to put in that work and see the results play out on the court. There's nothing better than that, in my opinion.
Yes. No, I agree 100%. It sounds like our dads were very similar. My dad always said, hard work doesn't guarantee your success, but it certainly puts you in a great position. But not working hard will definitely guarantee you not success. So,
yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, and that hard work, that dedication, commitment is just, it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we both agree. As you look at the season and with so much uncertainty, I'm just curious from your perspective, and this is a time we've really never been in, but how do you plan? How do you goal set? Or do you just really, focus on the process and see what the day brings? I'm sure maybe it's a combination of both, but I'm just curious to get your perspective on that.
Yes. So our team, we did an exercise this summer, and it was about goal setting, and we talk about that quite a bit.
Okay.
summer certainly looked a little bit different because of what we're all experiencing, but our players did a phenomenal job with it, and we really focused on three areas that they felt would be important as we do come back in the fall, regardless if we're able to jump into practice right away or jump into competing, or if it's going to be more of a day-to-day process. So the first piece that they really wanted to focus on this summer was their physical fitness. They felt that was an area they had control over.
Yeah.
Some of the clubs were open, some weren't, but you have streets, you have different outside resources that you could use. So our physical fitness and the shape that we were staying in, it was very important, or is very important. And then the mental side, being able to take that time for yourself, self-care, have the important conversations, have the tough conversations if need be. And then, just keeping that communication open and honest and transparent. And then the third piece, which has been neat, was that, we all wanted to learn something or maybe go outside of our comfort zone during this time, whether it was focusing on a foreign language or reading a book that you haven't gotten to, but something that was just expanding the mind. So those were the three goals that we really were working on this summer and are currently still working on. And I think as we go into this fall, it's going to set us up very well for the process, because as you said, there are a lot of uncertainties. Changes are being made every day. Obviously, the last few days, some big news has come out about football and just how recruiting may be changing. So when competitions can start for other fall sports. So I think for us, and especially at Notre Dame, our number one priority is always going to be the safety and well-being of our student athletes and all of our students. And so we're going to advocate for what is in the best interest of our student athletes. And I know we all want to get back out there and compete and work hard, but we need to make sure that we're doing it safely and responsibly. And we owe that not just to ourselves, but certainly our whole Notre Dame community and our surrounding community. So I think we're going to continue to receive more and more information throughout this month, and we'll continue to put our plans and our protocols in place. But ultimately, the number one priority right now is to make sure everyone is safe and returns to campus safely. And then as we are back together, we will start our process and business as usual. And if we're able to have the opportunity to compete this fall, that's awesome. If not, we'll keep preparing for the spring.
Yeah. And what I find amazing just about you and your staff, and even in just you listening to you talk about your team, is the amount of preparation that you found a creative way to still do. And I think there's something special, because I know there are people who just said, hey, let's just shut it off and we'll see what happens in the future. But you're innovating, you're being creative, and you're building a tighter niche group of people and teammates and staff. And I just think there's something special. And I think in the long run, obviously it's going to be very successful for you, your staff, your team, and it's going to be amazing to watch.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm very fortunate to have an amazing staff. Coach Megan Curry is my assistant, and Daniela Nasser is our volunteer. And then we have a wonderful performance staff. Our young ladies on the team, of course, are amazing individuals and amazing teammates, and they have wonderful families. So we're very blessed with the people that are surrounding us, supporting us, and we want to continue to move in the right direction.
Yeah, and I always equate tennis to building a puzzle. You got to have the right puzzle pieces in place, from players to staff to everybody, to administration to academics, because if not, if something falls by the wayside, it's going to affect the whole program. So it definitely seems like you guys have that overall over-encompassing group of people put in place, which is good. Really cool to see.
Yes, thank you.
One more question for you, and then I'll let you go.
No,
So,
great.
as you think of coaching and things like that, I'm sure you set personal goals or large goals for your staff or for your team or whatever it may be. And I'm curious to know, one, if you feel comfortable sharing any of those, but if not, I have other questions too. But just thinking of what are some of your, personal goals as you look at, your coaching career or your team or whatever it may be.
Yes, no, happy to share those. And we do, we have 3 big picture goals for our program. Of course, there's a lot of processes and development that has to happen before we achieve these goals. But number 1 is for us is that we want every student athlete that comes through our program to graduate and graduate with first class degree from Notre Dame. And number 2 for us is to make sure we are always in contention and competing for national championships, for conference championships. Those are important. You talked about those earlier.
Yeah.
Those are definitely important. And so we feel we have the resources in place. We know it doesn't happen overnight, but being a national champion, competing for those national titles, those championship titles, we want to represent Notre Dame on the highest stage. So that would be number 2 for our program. And then third, and they're all just as equally important, but number 3 is something that our coaches instilled in the team that I was on at Georgia Tech, and certainly my coach instilled in me while I was a student athlete. You always want to leave a place better than you found it. And how that relates to our program is we want to continue to build a legacy, and we want every student athlete that comes through our program to not only positively impact during their time at Notre Dame, but making sure that they're leaving it a better place, and then going out and serving their next team that they're on, whether it's a family team or a business team, whatever team it may be, but making sure you're leaving your mark and develop as you've developed as a person, really left your legacy on the program.
Wow. Yeah, I really like that last one. And actually, I like them all, but just trying to, one, submit and say, hey, I was here, to your point, leaving it better than you found it, and keeping the tradition rich, I think is something really special and to strive for, to have. Definitely not every program's like that. And then as I hear you talk about the goal to compete for national championships, just having your experience and being, at that level and knowing what it feels like to get there, more importantly, know what it takes, not only to get there, but, what are the negatives? What are the positives? How does it happen? I mean, you gain a lot of instant respect, in my opinion, just from your resume, right? So I think people, once you have great respect for a coach, you believe what they say, and you believe that they'll, take you in the right direction. And I think that's something very cool to have as a program.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I definitely, from my perspective, I definitely look forward to seeing, one, how college tennis unfolds this year. Because again, I don't know, but I think it'll be interesting for the fall. And my hope is that, or my prayer is that it gets back to some sort of normalcy in the spring. Because I love to watch it. And now, just with you being able to watch matches on ESPN or ESPN3 or whatever it may be, I think that's also doing a lot for college tennis as well to improve the popularity. And also, it's a social distancing sport, so I hope that will also bring more popularity to the sport. And hopefully one day it can get back to growing like it all was when we were kids, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't have any more questions, but again, I want to truly thank you for taking time out of your day to have a quick chat on Live Fridays. And I wish you and your team, your staff, and of course the Notre Dame family, nothing but the best. And I look forward to watching you guys and following you guys and seeing how you make it happen this year.
No, thank you so much, Chris. It was really a privilege to be here and spend time with you and your followers. And thank you for all that you're doing to promote the sport and being enthusiastic. So
Yeah,
it's awesome. Thank you.
I'll keep it going.
Yeah, great.